expecting?
Yes, for the applicants that are in the audience, we'll make you a panelist when we call your item. So hold on and we'll have you join the meeting for your item. So we're all set.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Architectural and Site Control Commission of Portola Valley meeting of Monday, February 8th, 2021. Laura, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Koch,
Here.
Commissioner Sill,
Here.
Vice Chair Wilson,
Here.
Chair Ross,
Here.
and Kenny will not be present this evening because he has happy family news.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
great.
True infant, something like 24 hours old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we know what's happened there? Do we know if it's happened?
I expect so, but I don't know for sure.
Right.
All right. I'll open oral communications and invite any member of the public to address us on a topic that is not on today's agenda, with the understanding that we won't be able to discuss it, but we are here to listen. Is there anybody that would like to speak? What do you think, Laura? Anybody have their hand up?
Don't see anyone. You can use the raise your hand feature in Zoom if you would like to speak in oral communications. Okay, seeing none.
Okay. Excuse me. In that case, we'll move to new business. And the first item of new business is an architectural review for driveway entry gate and fence, file number PLN ARCH 10-2020 at 50 Paso del Arroyo, Jordan residence. And Mr. Garcia, I believe, is the consulting planner assigned to this project.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ross. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
I see it fine. Yes.
Excellent, thank you. The item before you tonight is an application for a newly constructed entry gate and fence at 50 Paso del Arroyo. The project's site is located at 50 Paso del Arroyo, which is a 1.1 acre lot at the end of a cul-de-sac and is zoned for 1 acre residential estate and is surrounded on all sides by low density single family residential of the same zoning district. Portola Valley Municipal Code indicates that all new entryway features that require a building permit are subject to approval by the ASCC. Here's the site plan for 50 Paso del Arroyo. The applicant has proposed a new entry gate and fence at the front of the property. The fence and entry gate are proposed to span approximately 78 feet, 9.5 inches in length, which includes an entry gate of 14 feet, 10 inches in width, and the fence is located within the 50-foot front setback and is 25 feet from the front property line. The site plan also shows an existing 10-foot access easement with the purpose of granting the town access to an on-site storm drain easement, which runs along the front of the main residence, as shown in the site plan. The next slide shows an enlarged detail of the proposed location and elevation of the new gate and fence. The proposed gate is to be a double swing out entry gate and is to be 4 feet in height and is made up of a steel frame with steel wiring that is located in the open frame of each gate. On either side of the entry gate is a 4-foot tall, 6-inch by 6-inch metal post. Both the steel frame and metal post will be painted a Spanish moss color to match the proposed fence on either side of the entry gate. The proposed fencing on either side of the entry gate is to consist of redwood material and is proposed to be 4 feet tall split rail fence. To the right of the entry gate is a 4-foot wide pedestrian gate of the same design and materials as split rail fence. The proposed gate and fence complies with relevant development standards for gates and fences located in the front setback. And the project has been reviewed by the Public Works Department, who requires that the applicant maintains the access agreement on site. Therefore, staff has included that the applicant may propose the fence that ends at the 10-foot access easement so that it does not block any portion of the easement. And alternatively, the applicant may propose a gate at the easement with a combination lock with a passcode set by the town. No part of the gate or fence foundation may be located within the easement. This information has been included as conditions of approval in attachment 1 of the staff report. And the applicant has indicated that they would like to propose a gate in this 10-foot access easement to match the existing the adjacent 4-foot redwood split rail fence. So here are some references for the fence color and material samples provided by the applicant. As I suggested, the auto gate materials are steel frames and steel posts that are going to be stained with a Spanish moss color. The fence and pedestrian gate materials are a split rail redwood material, as will be the access easement gate that's being proposed within the access easement. And those are the details indicated or highlighted earlier regarding the access easement. The notice of this public meeting was mailed to all property owners within a 300-foot radius of the site on January 28th, 2021. And to date, 1 comment was received in support of the project and has been included in the staff report as attachment 4. And staff recommends that the ASCC review the requested architectural review of an application for a new driveway, gate, and fence at 50 Paso del Arroyo, subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you. And I yield back to the chair.
Thank you, Jacob. Do we have the applicant? And if so, would the applicant like to, well, first, let me ask, commissioners, do you have questions for staff?
Jacob, do we have any drawings of like the keypad associated with like a call box?
That would be, I don't have any elevations of it, only, no, I don't have an elevation of it.
Any details of it? Like, does it have any lighting associated with it?
I would yield that question to the applicant. I just know the location of the keypad in Knox box.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to yield the question to Jeff Gentry, who's our contractor.
Let me just ask you to hold off with that for a moment. We will get back to that. And in fact, I'll invite you to make a presentation. You can include that information. But first, we'll see if there are other commissioners that have questions for staff.
No questions from me.
All right. Jane?
No questions from me.
Okay, great. Now we'll get back to the applicant, and thank you for being here. And if you have a presentation or any comments you'd like to make, please feel free, including information about the keypad.
Well, thank you, and I apologize for messing up protocol
No
here.
problem. We're not so formal here. So
and I appreciate you reviewing the application, and I would ask Jeff Gentry, who's the contractor working on the project, to give you any details.
is Jeff available?
I see he's on.
So on, it looks like he's muted.
How's that?
There
That's
you go.
There you
better.
So we just have a Door King 1812. It's a regular keypad. There's no light on it. There's no illumination from the keypad. Very standard.
Great. Thank you for that answer.
Very simple gate, very simple fence. It's going to age in weather, gray. That's about it. Not much else to say. In-ground operators on the gate. They're not going to stand out. They're going to be invisible.
Great. Anything else?
No. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
None from me.
None from me.
None for me.
Okay, and I have none either. So we'll come back to the commission for discussion. Al, do you have?
I'm sorry, through the
Oh.
chair, public comment.
Oh, thank you for the reminder. Yes, I'll open the public comments for this item. Is there anyone attending that would like to make a comment? And I note that we do have one submission in writing.
We have one hand up. Jerry Welch will allow you to talk. Here we go. And then there we go.
Jerry, go ahead.
Hello, and thank you so much for hearing the applicant. We are, there's actually 2 residences here. We're at number 10 and our neighbor at number 30 is with us at this meeting. And both residences are totally in favor of the gates for the Jordans.
Great. Thank you for that comment. Anything else?
Oh, thank you.
Excuse me. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
We have one person on the phone. If you're on the phone and you want to raise your hand, press *9. And I do not see any other hands raised.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Now, commissioners. Al, do you have some thoughts?
Okay, yes. Yeah, I looked over the pictures and the diagrams, and the fence and the gates look great to me. I think they're quite attractive. The design and materials are okay. I'm all in favor of it. It just looks like a, straightforward addition, and looks like it'll be quite useful.
Thanks, Al. Megan.
Yeah, I think this is a nice looking gate and it follows all of our guidelines. And I enjoy the incorporation of the moss color. I think that'll make it even that much more subdued. And I can see no reason why we shouldn't approve this.
All right. Jane.
I like the design, I like the color, I appreciate the access for the town, for the storm drain, and think it's a good project, yes.
Thank you. I don't have anything to add. I've read through the conditions. They all look appropriate. And I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Let's go ahead and approve this with the conditions stated in the staff report.
Is there
I'll
a second?
second that.
Thank you, Al. All in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay, you're approved.
Yay.
Congratulations. That wasn't so painful, now was it?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for coming. All right, item 2 on our agenda is an architectural review for a site development permit, landscape improvements, addition and remodel, 245 Shawnee Pass. This is the Scheuer McIntyre residence. File number PLN ARCH 0009-2020. And again, we have Mr. Garcia with the presentation.
Thank you. I will share my screen now. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The item before you tonight is a request for design review approval for architectural review and site development permit for an addition, remodel of the main residence and landscape improvements at 245 Shawnee Pass. This 47,916 square foot lot is zoned RE1A residential estate and is an interior lot located along Shawnee Pass. The property is surrounded by single-family residential and is located in the same zoning district, and the lot is upslope from the road. There's an existing single-story residence on site with an attached garage, relatively minimal landscaping, and a U-shaped driveway with 2 existing entrances to the road. There's a 10-foot wide public utility easement located at the front of the property, as well as a 15-foot strip of land which is designated public right-of-way. The applicant is proposing a 250 square foot addition that matches the maximum allowed 85% adjusted maximum floor area for the site. An interior remodel of approximately 2,397 square feet. New landscaping is proposed primarily at the front of the residence and at the rear of the residence, in addition to site improvements consisting of alterations to the driveway and back patio. Impervious surface is proposed to increase from 6,488 square feet to 7,951 square feet, maxing out the allowed impervious surface area for the site. And there are 5 significant trees proposed for removal. A site development permit to be reviewed by the ASCC is required for the combination of cut and fill between 100 and 1,000 cubic yards associated with the project. This proposed project meets all zoning requirements, including setback requirements, and are subject to the ASCC for review. Starting first with the addition, here are 4 plans representing areas of addition and remodel. Please see the additions include a bump out at the rear of the residence for the kitchen, filling in of the existing front entry porchway, a replacement of an exterior shed, and relocation of the garage doors from the right side of the building to the front of the building as identified in red. I'll next go to the elevations. For each of the elevations, I've included the existing elevation on top and the proposed elevation on bottom. And then I further highlighted areas of change to be noted on each elevation. For the front elevation, please see that the change in gabled roofs is the primary change on the front elevation, including a new front entryway overhang that is to be timbered. Moving to the left elevation, you'll also see similar gabled roof line changes. At the rear, you will also see the new site improvements at the back of the residence, including the new trellis, which is to be timber, and the outdoor barbecue area. And here's the right elevation, also with an altered roof line. The proposed colors and materials are to match existing colors and materials. You'll see that there is a board and batten siding, composite shingle roof to be gray. And the colors noted here are all existing colors. Please note that the color Stormy Monday and Stone White are currently not consistent with the design guidelines due to their light reflectivity values exceeding the design guideline recommendations. I'll move next to the site conditions and landscaping. So this is the existing site conditions. You'll see the location of the 5 significant trees marked for removal. There are 3 deodar cedar trees, 1 Doug fir, and 1 valley oak to be removed. The arborist has indicated that all are in good to fair condition, and the Conservation Committee supports the removal of the cedar trees, and after an analysis done by the project arborist, supports the removal of the valley oak as well as the Doug fir for the purpose of constructing the new driveway. Here is the proposed site plan that identifies the new layout for the driveway that is more compliant with the Portola Valley Municipal Code, going from a 2 entrance driveway to a single entrance driveway with a hammerhead auto court. You'll also see that there are new entry paths and low site walls at the front of the residence, and the improved site developments at the rear of the property to include a fire pit, outdoor kitchen, and trellis area. Moving next to the landscaping. This is the front yard landscaping proposed with the project. There's approximately 5,420 square feet of landscaping in total. And the project proposes to use 56.5% of its allowed maximum allowed water allowance. This is the rear landscaping, which is minimal, also consisting of native plants and close to the main building itself. The project requires a site development permit to be reviewed by the ASCC review. You'll see that with this breakdown of soil movement, that most of the work needed for grading is associated with the site work and landscaping. This slide represents the exterior lighting being proposed throughout the project. You'll see that there are wall lights associated with the low site walls, and that there are path lights that extend into the front yard and are located around the back patio. You'll see one barbecue light associated with the outdoor barbecue area, a hanging light at the front entry gate, at the front entry porch, trellis lighting located at the location of the trellis, and exterior wall mounted lighting at each garage door and exterior entrance. And there's also wall lights located within the auto court. The staff recommendations upon a preliminary review were to reduce the lighting at the auto court and in the trellis area. The applicant did reduce lighting at the auto court and in the trellis area. Trellis area lighting was reduced in the area with regard to the path lights that were surrounding the patio area. However, the above trellis lighting remained the same. Excuse me. The notice of the public meeting was mailed to all property owners within a 300-foot radius of the site on January 28th, 2021. And to date, 2 comments were received in support of the project and can be read into the record. Staff recommends that the ASCC review the requested architectural review and site development permit for an addition remodel of the main residence and landscape improvements subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you, and I yield back to the chair.
Thank you. Good presentation. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff?
Nope.
Nothing from Megan. Al?
Nothing from me.
Jane? You may be muted.
Oh,
There you go.
No.
Any questions?
nothing from me, no.
All right. I have one minor procedural question, which is, are the public comments that were submitted in writing or by email part of the record, or do they need to be read into the record? Question for
What
Laura.
we've been doing is asking the commissioners if they've had the opportunity to read those comments. And then if there's any request by the commissioners or members of the public, I can read those into the record. So if there's a request to do so, we can.
Okay. Is there a request from a commissioner to have them read?
Not
Or
from
have you
my-
had a chance to review them?
I've reviewed them.
Okay. When we get to public comments, we'll ask if there's any member of the public that needs to have them read in. All right. Very good. Now, I assume we have the applicant with us today. And if
And I
so,
want to make sure we have all the members of the applicant team that wish to speak or be a panelist. Do we have everyone with us? Yeah, okay, great.
Looks like it from my perspective. I'm the applicant, or myself and my wife Margelle.
great. And are you Todd?
I am Dave. Sorry,
see you.
am I supposed to address? I guess if there's any questions, I'd be delighted to take them. It's been a long time to get to this point for us. We're delighted to be
Yes.
here. I appreciate you guys making the time for us. So yeah, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them. But we're certainly quite excited and feel we've been counseled well by our architect and landscape architect and our contractor to get to this point. So we're hopeful that we've met the requirements.
Great. Well, commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Scheuer?
Yes, will you be putting in a stage for your Halloween bands?
Oh, geez. Megan, is that allowed by the town? I guess I didn't check the
No.
guidelines for that.
No, but certainly you have been amazing contributors to the Shawnee Pass Halloween that we all love and miss dearly. But that was just a joke question.
Yeah, we miss it as well, and we're looking forward to enjoying that again as soon as it's safe to do so for the community. But
no,
yeah,
I don't have any official questions.
Okay.
The only other thing is that I think there's a couple, I provided a couple letters from a couple of the neighbors who were nice enough to write them, but we did contact all of the neighbors, and I did get a couple emails from folks that I could pass along to you all if you needed it, but I just thought the letters that were more formal, I passed those along. But everyone has been contacted, and I think everyone's in a really good place. So
Great. Jane, do you have any questions for Mr. Schroyer? Doesn't look like it. Jane, are you? Oh, there you are. You may be muted.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this point.
All right. And Al, do you have questions?
I have one question about the path lights. There's a little path that goes around the left side of the house as you're facing it, and there's a few lights on that, but then the path just sort of dead ends. So it didn't seem to me that I couldn't imagine why you would want lights there, because it didn't look like it's something that you'd be walking along in the dark. It was more like, it seemed like it was just illuminating the house almost, and I couldn't see the point of that. So is there some explanation as to why you wanted lights around that path?
Are you referring to the going westward from the entry around to the side fence there in the front?
Yes.
So there's an existing gate in that fence with access to the rear yard. So it would be if you're walking in the evening time from the front of the property to that gate. And they're only three.
Then you'd be going you'd be going through a gate, and there's no lights beyond that, right? So
presumably there's some spill from the house lights, through the windows. But
okay.
It seems like a safety issue.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Sure.
Al, thanks. I do not have any questions. So I'll open the public hearing and invite members of the public to speak to us about this project. And if anybody wishes to have the public comments that were submitted in writing read into the record, if you haven't had a chance to see them. Is there anybody who wants to address us?
We have Anna Williamson, and I don't know, that may be a member of your applicant team.
yes, Anna's our architect.
Okay. Anna?
Hello.
You're on the air.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. It's just, I was wondering because I see everybody, but I can't see myself, or I wasn't sure. Well, we are happy to finally be here in front of the ASCC, so thank you all. It's been a long process with Todd and Margell, and we feel that we have addressed all the comments and concerns that were brought forth by the different jurisdictions or the different departments in the town. I feel that we have assembled a really strong team, both in landscape architecture and together with our civil and everybody who worked so diligently to get us to this point. And we're here to answer questions and happy to, we're thankful to Jake for the diligence in putting all the different requirements in front of us and letting us know. But at this point, I think we're just here to answer questions and see what, looking forward to be able to submit for a building permit, basically. So, yes.
Great. Thank you, Anna.
Mhm.
So commissioners, do you have any questions for the architect? Megan?
You know, I noticed that there's a couple new skylights. Is there any lighting associated with those skylights?
Thomas, you might have to help me on that one. Do you know, Megan, did you know which ones exactly you're referring to?
Well, just the basic question that we always ask is, within a skylight, there is an applicant sometimes that does have a lighting feature in there, which we would want to discourage.
I believe we don't have a feature in there, but I will defer to
There's
Thomas.
no feature. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I've been raising my hand virtually, trying to play by the rules. So there isn't a feature light per se in any of our skylights. There are in the kitchen specifically because of the size of that space and the vault of that ceiling. We do have downlights in both of those skylights specified, but they are very clearly specified as downlights. We want to make sure that we're not polluting with light. We know that that's important to Portola Valley, and it's important to us as well to not to be contributing to any sort of ruining of the natural environment and everything associated with that. So yes, fixtures within some of those skylights, but we'll be very intentional about the usage. We've talked to the lighting designer specifically about this, and her opinion is that these lights are necessary for quality lighting on the interior of the home, but will not spill outside of those skylight wells.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Megan, other questions?
No other questions.
Al, how about you?
No other questions.
And Jane?
I did have a question about the top of the garage doors. Are those glazed panels?
Yes, currently they are glazed panels.
Frosted or completely clear?
They're at, if I'm remembering the elevation correctly, they're at about 6 feet in the air, and they are frosted currently. If there are specific concerns that the committee has, we can certainly address them. We're open to those regularly. We have them frosted though.
Right. No, our chair will probably mention lighting in the garage that spills then through the glass panes, but that was, I just wanted to find out if they were glazed.
Yes, yes, just that top panel. The bottom portion is kind of meant to be kind of that rural farmhouse aesthetic of kind of wood paneled.
Right. Okay. That was my only question.
Thank you, Jane, for sticking up for one of my issues. I have a question, and that is, did you get a chance to look at, or maybe you've discussed with the Conservation Committee, their thoughts about preserving the oak tree that's coming down?
Donnie, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Are you referring to in the auto court area?
Yes.
Yeah, we did a number of studies trying to see if there was any way you could turn a car, realistically turn cars around in that setting, and it just wasn't feasible.
Mm-hmm.
We presented a diagram showing the position, and it felt like that was the most. We couldn't make it work keeping them, basically. So we tried, but we have added oak trees in our planting, so I think things overall balance out pretty well.
All right, thank you. That was my only question. Since Jane asked my other question. Commissioners, any other questions before we go to public?
So through the chair, what I'll do is I'll make Anna a panelist so she can stay on in case anything else comes up, and then we can go to any other public comments.
Great, thank you. All right, I'll open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to address us on this agenda item? If so, press the raise your hand button.
And we have Judy Murphy.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Dave, for noticing that oak tree. You may not have gotten the report from us. We did an original report with a lot of concern about that oak tree coming down. And then we had some interaction with the design team and thoroughly understand all the reasons it had to come out, that there was no way around it. And we submitted an amended report saying, thank you. Thank you for explaining all the reasons, and we approve it coming out, understanding the necessity and appreciating other changes they made towards native species in the plan. Thanks.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else from the public? Now's your chance. Laura, anybody?
I don't see anyone else.
All right. Okay, I'll close the public hearing and come back to commissioners for their comments. And why don't we start with Al?
Okay. So there's a lot of things that I really like about this. I think that I love to see kind of an update to a building that maintains the modest height. And I think that the changes that you've proposed really are going to make the home much more attractive. I like what you're doing with the roof line. I love the board and batten. You know, I think that lots and lots of positives. I'm okay with the trim that doesn't meet the town reflectivity guidelines. I mean, I think you're matching what's already there, and there's not a ton of it, so I'm fine with that. The landscaping, I think that, you know, frequently I would object a little bit to the number of non-natives, but you know, for the Shawnee Pass area, I think this is really a great proposal. If it was other places in Portola Valley, I might not be as thrilled with it, but I think it really fits with that area and is very appropriate. So I'm a big fan of what you've proposed from a landscaping point of view. I like the rerouting of the driveway. I think the entrance, the whole feel of the entrance to the house is going to be greatly improved. Let's see, lighting. I still don't see the point of the 3 lights to the left of, as you know, as you're facing the house, the 3 path lights off to the left. That seems to me that they're not really necessary. It's, you know, it's not a huge deal to me, but I don't see the point of them. But other than that, you know, that's really the only minor thing that I don't like. I really like the proposal quite a bit. I think it's really good.
Thank you, Al. Megan.
Yeah, I think this is an incredible improvement for your family home, and the elevations with the new gables just gives much more interest, and it's very appealing. And so kudos on that. The window trim, you know, it's not really something we would ever approve on a new project, but with the scale of your remodel, you're not actually replacing all of these windows. If that was the case, then it would be time to change the color scheme there, but it would be unnecessary to do so here. I actually think the lighting is quite modest. I mean, in this day of COVID that we're still in, I'm thinking, I would love lighting to get to my backyard so people don't have to go through my house. Now, hopefully we're not going to have to live in that situation forever, but so it doesn't upset me that much, but we could suggest that those lights are on a different kind of a timing switch. So then that way, when you turn on your front entry lights, it doesn't illuminate all of those path lights. And that's certainly something that's feasible. I think it's great you have the solar panels. I love the driveway transition from a 2 entry point, exit point to the 1. And I see the need to remove the oak. And I'm glad you're planting some others in its place. And And I also, again, want to reiterate, thank you for being such great community members. And we all appreciate your hospitality and welcoming all the little kids and the silly adults on Halloween. And I hope that doesn't end. So
Thanks, Megan.
I fully support the project.
Thanks, Megan. Jane.
Yes, I'd love to see a renovation rather than a complete demolition. And I like all of the building improvements that you're going to make. With regard to the glass panes at the top of the door, I think that can be dealt with a timing switch. And again, to reiterate Megan's comment about a timing switch for the lights outside. I did notice that we had an extensive soil report for the landscaping, and I wanted to reiterate Conservation's recommendation about watching for invasives. I did have a look through your plant list, and I think it's going to be a rainbow of colours. And we do tend to try with less is more on planting because then that allows the plants to grow into place rather than putting too many in to start with that will overcrowd some. And one I looked up because I didn't know it was the Safari Sunset, which apparently grows to 2 meters high and 2 meters wide within 12 months. And those are right by your door. So I don't know whether you might want to look at those again, because they are sort of very bright and they will grow. They seem to grow very quickly, and because you seem to like Australian and New Zealand plants quite a lot. I don't know whether that was intentional or something else. And thankfully, the reed grass that you've chosen doesn't seed, which is another good one. But I like the design. I like the way you've gone with everything, and I approve of the project.
Thank you, Jane. I only have a couple of things to add as comments. I am completely supportive of the project. It is very well done. I like the change in siding materials. I think while I agree with Al, I agree with Al and Jane. We do tend to push back a little bit on planting, especially this kind of variety. But this neighborhood is sort of characterized by that, and as Al says, it fits into the neighborhood pretty well. I would support Conservation Committee's suggestion of planting smaller oak trees. They do grow fairly quickly, and they tend to grow better, in my experience, if they start out smaller. And within about 7 or 8 years, I believe they will be as big as if you had planted much larger trees. So something to consider, and it might also be a cost savings. Jane's question about the garage door glazing is because I have often pointed out to applicants that sometimes unintended consequence of that. And if anybody maintains a little bit of a workshop or utility space in their garage and has electric tools whose batteries they recharge in their garages, those chargers flash either red or green lights, or sometimes orange and sometimes back and forth. And I've noticed sometimes on evening walks, when I go by a house with a garage that has glazing in the door, I can see that red or green flashing going on during the night. So it's just something to think about. In a dark environment like ours, it can be quite an interesting effect to see somebody's garage flashing red and green. And because of the change in the orientation of the garage doors, it'll be more visible from the street. So just something to think about. We often ask applicants if they will consider in their landscape lighting, providing separate switches or separate circuits so that not all the lights are turned on at once. They can be turned on and off selectively. And contrary to previous years and policies, we actually encourage the use of motion sensors in limited situations. So if path lighting is needed for safety purposes, a motion sensor with an off switch timer could be very effective, so that they don't remain on longer than they need to be. Those are some things to think about. I'm not concerned at the level where I'd want to make them conditions of approval, but just throw them out there as suggestions. I think, yeah, that covers all my comments. I'll check one more time with my fellow commissioners if there are any more comments or if somebody's ready to make a motion.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the project with the conditions outlined by staff.
I'll second that.
Oh.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, that passes unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck with your project.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. That concludes item 2 on our agenda.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Get back to it here. All right, next is commission reports. Has anybody acted on anything or have anything to report from the last 2 weeks or so?
Nobody's called me.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
No. I have one item, and that was at 228 Westridge to review the applicant's request to plant or to get permission to in retrospect to plant 4 redwood trees that were not included in.
Which one is 28?
The Dolan residence.
Dolan. Okay.
The Hobbit house.
Yeah. Dolan. Okay.
Yeah. And after reviewing the site and the application and the conservation committee's thoughts on the matter, I denied the request.
Yeah. It's not the right environment.
That's right.
It really, it's not suitable.
Yeah, it's really not a redwood environment. And as we all know from years of doing this, they're not very good screening trees.
Right.
Unless what you want to do is eventually screen the distant skyline.
Yeah.
But
with a telephone pole.
Right.
Lollipop. No.
Right. So not suitable for the location. Yeah. That's, I think, the only item that I reviewed in the last 2 weeks.
Who is the landscape architect? Do you remember?
It changed. It was wasn't it Bob? And then he didn't like his design and he switched to a female designer, but I can't remember her name.
Yeah, that's my recollection also.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't remember the name either.
That's a surprising landscape choice. Is
Yeah.
Is familiar with Willow Valley or plants.
Well, he's gonna have a really big problem with invasives on that piece of land because obviously I go past it quite a lot and the place has just been scraped.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I noticed they put down a lot of the erosion batting,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
So it's quite sad to see, but I don't know what we can do really. Apart from, is he coming back with another landscape design, Laura? Or
no, I believe they have an approved landscape. There's sorry, this is off the top of my head, but I believe they have a condition that certain screening trees have to be reviewed by an ASCC member or maybe 2.
Yeah.
So there's still another ASCC step in terms of implementation of the plan, but we have the plan that just needs the final fine tuning.
Well, I'll say I'm actually very happy that they came to us to ask if they could plant redwoods. That's awesome. That they came to us.
They
didn't.
Supported.
Oh, no. Okay, well then how did this come to?
They planted them and we were notified by numerous residents in town.
Oh, no, darn it.
We got a lot of calls.
Oh, goodness. Oh, shoot, there goes my whole theory on.
So we've communicated to them that that's not appropriate and that it's not approved. And so hopefully they'll be taking care of that shortly.
I think you might find them planted elsewhere where they think we won't notice.
I'm sure we'll notice. I'm sure we'll notice.
I have, this is one area where I have a lot of faith in planning staff's final planning review before the building final. So.
Were they actually in the ground?
Yeah. In a line, Megan, in a line.
Darn it.
Next to the road.
Darn it.
Well, and as we know, there are many communities where that would be thought to be appropriate, right? But it is not consistent with our values and our guidelines and rules. So in some places that would be perfectly fine. So we're taking care of it.
Yeah, Humboldt County, for example. Perfectly appropriate. All right. Okay, no more commission reports. How about staff? Let's see. Sorry.
The only update that I wanted to share with you is that is on the fire station. So they have applied for a zoning text amendment to resolve some of the zoning related issues that were coming up when you reviewed it. So we're going to be taking that project for the preliminary review with the Planning Commission. So they can weigh in on the zoning text amendment, the other zoning issues. Then I would anticipate it'll come back to ASCC at that point to look at the design issues again. They have made some changes. So we'll have an opportunity to bring the revised plan back to ASCC after Planning Commission takes a preliminary review at it. So we're still fine tuning the schedule, of how we're going to do the different steps, because we want to make sure everyone has the right input at the right time. But I know that there's a lot of community interest in that project. So I wanted you to be aware that that's the state that we're in.
Great.
Good. Thanks for the update. That's good to hear.
Yeah. And then we're working on, you may be aware of this, an overall website refresh for the website that's going on right now till kind of the middle of this year. We're working on it actively now to launch later in 2021. So we're working on ideas about how to include more information about projects onto the website. So more will be coming there. So we anticipate having more specific information on projects that are of townwide significance. And then anticipating having a project list that we would give to you, to Planning Commission, and post on the website so that people could be tracking the projects that we have in for any discretionary application. So we're working on like an ADU hub for the website where people will be able to come and get ADU materials. And then I'm working on kind of like a little website hub also of how do I build a single family home, or how do I renovate my house, so that people have a first stopping place to get that information. So those are some highlights of things that we're working on that I thought you would be interested in over the next couple of months that staff's working on and council's providing some direction.
That sounds like a really helpful plan. And
yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, glad to hear it.
You're welcome.
Laura, how did I didn't stick around for the end of the January 27th town council meeting with the brainstorming budget session for all of the commissions and committees. Has there been time yet to have any planning coming out of that meeting?
The management team is meeting around council priorities, and that the committee and commission feedback folds into that. So we bring the staff ones, and then the committee and commission ones all come together. And then that is tentatively scheduled for, I'm looking at my calendar. I believe February 24th will be the council discussion about council priorities. So
Okay.
as you know, Jeremy is in charge of that agenda, not me, but that's my understanding of when that will be scheduled.
Great, thank you. And I've got to say, I was really impressed by the level of preparation and the delivery of various committees, priorities, suggestions. It was really informative. I'm glad I attended as much of that meeting as I did. I learned a lot. And including what incredible teams of volunteers we have here in this town working on all these committees and commissions. So, all right. We're now at the final item on our agenda, which is the review and action on the draft minutes from our previous meeting. This is the meeting of January 25th. Does anyone have any corrections or comments?
I read through them and they looked fine to me. So anyone else see?
No, I read through them. They look fine to me.
I read through them, you know, they were interesting to me, but
Right.
it wasn't there.
Right.
And through the chair, we should get in the habit of asking if there are any public comments on the minutes. Usually there's no one left at ASCC meetings at this point in the meeting. But since we're on Zoom and there's members of the public that are present, we want to make sure we ask for that. And we do have a hand up for public
I
comments.
see that. So I'll open a public hearing on this public comment section on the agenda minutes. And I see that we have Rita Comas. And Rita,
Hi.
you are on the air.
Hi there. I just have a quick question. And the video from the recording, is it on the project website along with the one from the Planning Commission?
Yes.
Or where can I find? Okay, so thank you very much, because the minutes were, you know, minutes, but there was some information that was in the recording, and I had viewed the last meeting live on Zoom, as I guess as live as that could be in real time. And you know, some of the comments that were made by the public and from the members of this commission were not in the minutes. But thank you for posting that recording.
Thank you, Rita. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on this item? I don't see any hands up. Laura, do you?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll come back to commissioners. Someone please make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as they stand.
Jane, I'll bet you'll second that. Yeah.
Hear it.
All in favor? Aye. Abstaining?
I'll abstain.
Okay. All right.
You would.
Passes 401.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. All right, that concludes this evening's meeting. Thank you, everybody, for being here and members of the public for joining us.
Awesome.
Thank you all very much.
All right,
Till
thanks
next
a
time.
lot.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.